Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is Tutorial Tuesday, so I'm going to do a tutorial that someone else on YouTube has created. I'm going to follow along and encourage you to follow along, and we're going to try a whole new makeup look. The tutorial I picked up for today is actually like two tutorials in one. It's Lisa Eldridge's East meets West tutorial, where she mentions beauty trends that are current in kind of Korea and Japan, versus trends that are more like Western based. So let's go ahead and follow along and see what these two looks are gonna look like. I'm super excited. For foundation, she uses a cushion foundation. And again, I don't have a Korean or Japanese brand. I just have this Physicians Formula one. And you should use a lighter foundation. This stuff is like a little bit dark even for me, so it's not perfect. And she also says you want a medium dewy finish is what she was going for in her video. I don't know, I was just at the drugstore and this one's on sale, so I picked it up. And I don't think it even mentions like what kind of finish you're gonna get. I don't think it says mattifying or anything. Next, she does go in with concealer under her eyes, although she does mention that in Korea it's kind of trendy to draw in a bit of a shadow under your eye. I definitely naturally have that, as well as bags under my eye. So I'm just going to focus in the blue area. She kind of covers up everything, but I'm just going to focus on the blue area, and sort of up in here she does put some concealer just to lighten any like shadow area. And then for spots and pimples and stuff, she says that especially in Korea, they just go in with some more cushion foundation and just kind of layer it up where you need it. So for the Western makeup, she actually starts with some color correctors, and these were all the rage last spring, which was when her tutorial was filmed. Basically, she goes in with oranges under the eye and green on any areas of redness that she has. Next, she moves on to foundation. She doesn't really say too much about the foundation she selected other than it's new to her. So she does say they tend to be a little bit warmer and maybe a little bit darker than your natural skin tone, which I think right now this Revlon Colorstay 180, it's kind of my summer color. So I think this is going to be a good choice. And she just applies it with a brush. So I'm just going to take my e.l.f. Kabuki and apply. Next, she goes in with a concealer. She mentions that concealers in the West tend to be used more as a brightening and highlighting sort of thing all in one. So not only are we going to put it kind of in a triangle under our eyes, but we're also going to put it down the center of our face just to lighten everything up. So this Estee Lauder one in light, medium, cool, the double wear waterproof. It's not a ton lighter than my foundation, but it is a little bit lighter. So hopefully that'll work okay. And I'm just going to apply it kind of in that triangle. And then of course she loves to spot conceal just using a tiny brush. So I'm just going to hit some of my spots, not worrying too much about it because I am kind of having this weird skin crisis. Next, she powders just with some translucent powder. And she does mention that in the West, we like a lot more of a more soft glow to our skin, a lot more matte overall with just a couple, I guess, highlighted spots. So just a quick powder to set everything. For eyeshadow, she mentions she's going to mix a pinkish and a champagne color together. I think I'm going to maybe mix together my Too Faced Baby Love and then like a champagne-y color, maybe Big Baby, and kind of create my own really brightish sort of pink champagne wash of color. Then she goes in with an even lighter and like brighter color, so I think that's for the inner corner, and I'm going to use this really, it's just like, it's mostly just champagne, this color here from one of the Naked palettes, and it's just a super light champagne color. Apparently you just add it all over the inner corner. It's much wider of a space than in the West. For liner, she uses like a super black, she mentions brown or black liquid liner. Just a really thin line, kind of working it into the lash line and kind of fading it into nothing. I am going to use black because that's what she uses, and I'm just going to go for a really slightly winged out but very thin line. Next, she mentions there's two different trends for eyelashes. The Japanese trend is a lot more like round and full with false lashes, whereas in Korea you tend to see like a straighter lash with a lot less false lashes. She does opt for the Japanese one in this tutorial, so I've tried to pick out something sort of similar for lashes. I ordered these off of Amazon. These are the Prettylicious. I don't know, I just ordered a 10-pack because they were kind of cheap. And there's nothing like super round in there. There's no like really super round looking lashes. A lot of these are pretty winged looking. And there's also not anything really like super natural looking. I think the roundest and most natural might be like this one. So I think I'm going to go for these ones today, even though it's probably not accurate in terms of natural lookingness. It's maybe most accurate in terms of shape. And before I pop those on, I am going to curl and put some mascara on. Alright, so these lashes, they're not my favorite. They're kind of shitty. But I did kind of trim them on the outside edges to kind of make them more round. But they're a little wonky. I don't know. She goes in with a tissue, and I think just a matte brown color. She doesn't really specify. And she just kind of places that all over the lid area, it looks like. Using sort of a medium brown color. Next, she takes out two darker colors. She mentions Blackout and a different one from Urban Decay. So I'm going to assume it's like a deeper brown, and hopefully I'm not going to totally mess up here, but she just basically applies it to the crease and kind of blends it up and out. I'm gonna stop and blend. I'm gonna go really slowly here because I'm definitely not as experienced as she is. She also says the Western trend is definitely towards coppers and sort of nude colors. She makes it look so effortless when she does it. If you haven't checked out Lisa Eldridge, you absolutely need to drop what you're doing and go check her out. She's just a phenomenal makeup artist, a phenomenal woman. She loves vintage makeup, the history of makeup. She just loves everything to do with cosmetics, and she's a great role model, I think, for any aspiring makeup lover or makeup artist. Also mentioned she uses the same shades underneath, so I'm just going to keep whatever's on my brush and kind of pull down whatever there is underneath. Between the two looks, I'm definitely a little bit more cautious with this one just because it is a little bit more, I would say, advanced, because you're using darker colors. You have to actually create shadows instead of just like lifting. So day to day, I think I definitely prefer the more Eastern trends, whereas night out, I think even most people would kind of think in their mind more of the Western trend. So one more time, I'm just gonna darken my lid a little bit, just using some matte browns. I think it's kind of helpful that she doesn't show the colors that she uses, so you kind of have to like guess and build from them, or if you're really interested, you can look it up. But these are the two lid colors I used, and I used this shadow and this kind of darker shadow to kind of deepen the crease, and that's just about it. Then for the Western eye, she uses a gel liner to do a big winged look, a full cat eye. So I have some black tracks here and my MAC 266, which is honestly one of the very first makeup brushes I ever bought. So it's a little bit nostalgic and actually my only MAC brush at the moment. Lisa always says to press your liner into the roots of your lashes, which I think is a great way to keep the line nice and thin to start with. And you can build up as you need to. Definitely a bigger wing than I would normally go for. But it's fun to try new stuff. Now that my liner's on, I think I'm going to go back and just kind of darken up my crease a little bit more just to balance that out. And for lashes, she says thick, heavy mascara, very volumizing is the way to go. And I already know that we're going to go in with falsies, so I'm not going to go too crazy here. Just for personal preference. For lashes, I'm going to go in again with this Prettylicious set that I just found on Amazon for a couple bucks. And I'm going to go in with the second from the top. She uses a pair of demi wispies with a nice cat eye or flare at the end, so you kind of get that cat eye effect. So I'm going to pop these on and I'll be right back. Lashes on, and I definitely think that lashes do help, especially with like a smoky eye. They kind of help blend and make your liner look darker and make your wing, like, kind of change your eye shape. So I would say if you're ever feeling not super confident about your makeup look, throw on some false lashes and it will totally change up what you see. Next for brows, we're going to draw in our brows and we're just going to do it kind of like naturally and not too art. I'm just using my Goof Proof brow pencil, which is like honestly one of my absolute favorites. I love this stuff so much. Just kind of a de-emphasis on the arc of your brow. My brows are pretty archy, but I've tried to like kind of fill in underneath there to kind of minimize that. For brow, she mentions, of course, that unlike the Eastern trends, the West tends to favor a much more sharp and defined brow. And she actually uses her Anastasia Dipbrow, which is awesome because that's what I have. So I'm just going to go in, and she just says to accentuate your arc. And it's kind of defined looking brow compared to the Eastern brow. And then to finish off the brows, I'm just going to go in with a highlight color like she recommends and just kind of emphasize the arc of our brow with the highlight powder. The blush trend in Japan is like super high. I think she calls it Akari blush, where you look like you've had a little bit to drink, so you have a really big flush like right under your eye. Whereas in Korea it's a lot more like natural, it's maybe more of a cushion foundation type. But yeah, she opts for the Japanese more like pinky, blue toned pink blush. The only one that I have similar that's not just like an apricot color would be this Love Flush in Crazy in Love. And this does have some sparkle in it, and she's not using any sparkle, but gotta do what you gotta do. This does kind of have like, I want to say a goldish sheen, so I'm going to have like a natural highlight built in here. She does also blend out those edges, the like cool pink with a little bit of peach, so I'm going to do that as well. Which is something I don't normally do, like combine blushes IRL. I feel like it just emphasizes how big and fat my cheeks are. She mentions that contouring is super important in the West. A lot of girls do it. So I'm just going to use my Makeup Forever. This is actually an eyeshadow, but someone recommended it for a contour color for me. And she just uses a fluffy round brush, but I'm going to use this It Cosmetics contour brush just because she applies quite a lot. And she goes fairly high up her cheekbone, I think, to really make them pop. So we're just going to spend some time here applying contour. And lastly, she uses a peachy blush on her cheeks, so I'm going to use the Baby Love from Too Faced. And you just apply it to the apples of your cheeks. And lastly, she goes in with a fan brush and applies some highlight to the top of her cheekbones. And then a little bit of that into the inner corner of the eyes. Lastly, for lips, she says to keep them nice and juicy. She opts for kind of like a Korean gradient lip that's a little more bright in the center and kind of fades out to your like cushion foundation at the edges. And she goes for like a bright pink color, and I don't have anything like that, like a natural pink color. It's also juicy. So I have a Clinique lipstick here. What is this? This is Pink Honey, but you can see it hardly shows up. So I think what I'm going to do is add a little bit of, and this is so wrong you guys, I'm going to add a little bit of just liquid for color, just kind of in the center. And then I have this pink Sephora one. It's probably too light, but it does add like a little bit of gloss. And then over all of that, we can go over with that honey shade to keep things nice and juicy. See, I think hers is even like more bright pink than mine, but I'm just gonna go with this today because that's what I pulled out. And I'm just gonna fade out the edges just using my cushion foundation. Just dabbing my finger in is what she does. And just sort of going around the edges. And lastly, for lips, she says for the US, you do need to go in with a lip liner, and you probably will make it very well defined and maybe a little bit overdrawn so that you have very voluminous lips, because more is more. I don't really overdraw my lips very often, but I'm going to try to give myself a little something extra today. And she does just use a nude colored lip liner. And again, this is something she really goes slow with. You can imagine she probably takes a little bit of time getting this right. And to fill in the lips, she's just going to use a creamy, looks like a fairly matte pinky nude color. Alright, and with that attempted gradient look, that completes this Eastern inspired Japanese Korean beauty look as instructed, I guess, as inspired by Lisa Eldridge's tutorial. That finishes up the Western inspired look, so definitely let me know which one you prefer on me down below, or which you prefer to wear yourself in general, or does it kind of depend on the occasion and how much makeup you're willing to slather on that day. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love doing tutorial Tuesdays. They are a ton of fun, and I hope they keep you inspired. More techniques, more YouTube creators, etc., etc. If you enjoyed today's video, do give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe down below, leave any comments, feedback, anything you might have. Let me know what you thought about yesterday's fashion video, if that's something you'd like to see more of. I'm not really a fashionista, as you can tell, but I do have a couple pieces that I really love, and I kind of think of myself as like a minimalist when it comes to fashion, so I don't know. Anyway guys, of course, if you haven't already, make sure you hop over to Lisa Eldridge's channel and subscribe and follow her on all her social medias. And I guess that's it, so I will see you all tomorrow in my next beauty video. Bye!